I am the Emperor of mankind. And this is the account of Lorgar Aurelian, the son who mistook silence for abandonment and worship for love. Lorgar was not the strongest. He was not the swiftest. He did not outmatch his brothers in battle, nor command fear through strength. What he had was conviction. Where others sought conquest, he sought truth. Where others demanded compliance, he demanded understanding. And in his need to understand, he tore open the sky. When I scattered the Primarchs across the stars, it was not by intention. The powers of the warp stole them from me, flung across the galaxy like pieces of a broken god. Each of them would be shaped by the world that found them. Some would learn war. Some would learn survival. Lorgar learned faith. He was raised on Kolkis, a world gripped by religion, superstition, and theocratic rule. Its people bowed to unseen powers, whispering names that echoed far deeper than they understood. When Lorgar came to them, they believed he was divine, not because he told them so, but because he fit the shape of prophecy. They saw his form, his aura, his strength, and they bent the knee. Lorgar did not resist. He did not correct them. He welcomed their reverence. He built churches in their names and stood at their altars. He was raised not to command, but to be obeyed, not to lead, but to be followed. When I found him, he wept. He fell to his knees, not in fear, not in hatred, but in worship. He called me Father, and he meant it. He called me God, and he believed it. I gave him no ceremony, no blessing, no affection. I gave him truth. I am not a god. I have never been a god. And I warned him that worship is a poison. It was not cruelty that led me to destroy Monarchia. It was necessity. Lorgar had taken his beliefs and spread them among the stars. He turned the Great Crusade from conquest to conversion. He left behind temples where there should have been ruins, sermons where there should have been silence. Entire worlds knelt before the Emperor, not because they feared us, but because they worshipped us. And so, I erased his cathedral. I ordered the Ultramarines to burn Monarchia to ash, not as punishment, as reminder. This was not a holy war. There were no saints, no prophets, no gods, only men with orders. He never forgave me. Not because I destroyed something, but because I humiliated him in front of his sons, in front of his people, in front of the galaxy. He had not just lost a city, he had lost purpose. And in that absence, he found new purpose. I saw the signs. He withdrew from the Crusade's front. He became quiet, thoughtful, private. His words turned from discipliner to destiny. He spoke less of compliance and more of enlightenment. He studied the warp, not as a weapon, but as a source of revelation. I had given him silence, and into that silence the gods spoke. It was not Horus who first made contact with chaos. It was not Fulgrim, or Mortarion, or Curzy. It was Lorgar. He called to the void, and it answered him. Whispers that echoed through Kolkis, names older than mankind, concepts dressed as gods. He saw visions, not of madness, but of meaning, and he called them divine. I had warned him. The warp is a reflection, not a teacher. It shows what you want, not what is true. It echoes desire, magnifies it, until it consumes the host. But Lorgar did not seek restraint. He sought transcendence. He believed chaos was not corruption, but ascension. He believed the gods of the warp were what I had refused to become. He believed they would give him purpose, and in doing so, he gave them everything. He corrupted his legion first, quietly, carefully. No open heresy, No declarations, only rituals, symbols, words spoken behind closed doors. He turned the word-bearers into zealots, no longer warriors of the Imperium, but apostles of the Pantheon. And still, I did not strike him down. Why? Because I believed he could return. Because I saw his faith not as rebellion, but as confusion. And confusion, I thought, could be healed. But Lorgar was not confused, he was convinced. He reached out to Horus, the favored son, the beloved war master. He whispered doubt, he planted fear, he exposed the lie he believed I had told, that mankind could rise without gods. And Horus listened. Horus believed. And the seed that Lorgar had carried from Colchis took root on Davin. Do not mistake this. The heresy began with Horus, but it was Lorgar who unlocked the gate. He did not lead the charge. He knelt before it and prayed it open. The gods did not want love, they wanted blood, and Lorgar gave it to them. And this is how belief broke the Imperium. Lorgar gave chaos what it had always lacked: a voice, a vessel, a system, where others worshipped blindly. He codified it, where others raged. He wrote scripture. He built a religion, not out of love, but out of structure. He made faith into a weapon. He gave form to the formless. He did not bow to one god. He bowed to all of them. He was not possessed. He was not coerced. He chose them fully, knowingly, with pride, even in rebellion, and he saw himself as righteous. The Imperium to him had become a lie, a hollow machine built on hypocrisy, a soulless empire ruled by a being who denied his divinity and demanded obedience anyway. In his mind, I was the deceiver. He would unmask me and show mankind what true divinity looked like. So Lorgar wrote his Gospels. He laid the foundation for the new faith, and with ink, blood and flame, he began his war. He was never a front-line general. He did not crave glory through battle. He preferred sermons to sieges. But when the word-bearers marched, they marched not as soldiers, but as missionaries, and every world they touched was forced to choose submission to the gods or annihilation. He did not conquer, he converted. And in that, he was more dangerous than any blade. When Calth burned, the truth was revealed. The facade ended. No more whispering, no more waiting. Lorgar and his legion declared their devotion, not to the Imperium, not to me, but to chaos. The word-bearers became its architects, not accidental traitors, but the designers of the heresy. And what did Lorgar do? When the galaxy began to burn, he disappeared. While Horus waged war, Lorgar went into the Eye of Terror. He did not seek victory. He sought understanding. He entered the warp willingly. He let it speak to him, shape him, change him. And when he returned, he was no longer a man. He was something else, not monstrous, not grotesque, but perfect, in the eyes of the gods. He did not seek demonhood out of lust for power. He saw it as inevitability. He believed he had been chosen since birth, that every trial, every humiliation, every act of obedience was a step toward apotheosis. He became what he always longed to be, a figure of reverence, a prophet given flesh, a voice that the gods answered. Some say he wept when Horus fell, not out of grief, but out of realization that the heresy had failed, not because the gods were weak, but because their servants were unworthy. Lorgar did not die with the rest. He did not vanish. He retreated into the shadows of the warp to learn, to ascend, to prepare for what comes next. He remains there still, not as a warrior, but as a priest, whispering, preaching, waiting. He was never the angriest, never the most feared. But in the end, he may have been the most dangerous, because where others wanted to kill the Imperium, Lorgar wanted to replace it. I do not hate him. Hate is for creatures who fear loss. I do not fear Lorgar, but I do understand him. He wanted a father who would embrace him. He wanted a purpose that justified his pain. He wanted to believe the universe had meaning. And when I denied him all of that, he made his own. I did not fail to raise a son. I succeeded in creating a believer. And belief is a fire that consumes even stars. He will not return with armies. He will not come bearing blades or banners. He will come with doctrine. He will come with words. And in the end, that may be all it takes. Would I undo it? If I had spoken more gently, if I had offered warmth instead of silence, would Lorgar have remained? I do not know, but I know this. I gave him truth. He preferred meaning. And when the two are in conflict, meaning will always win. Lorgar is not lost. He is fulfilled. And that is the greatest tragedy of all. I am the Emperor of mankind, and this was my son. He did not fall. He knelt. Before gods, I warned him never to name.